All right, there we are. Welcome to a special episode, special E3 episode of Frags and Beer Radio News. We're going to call it Frags and Scotch Radio News tonight because Diogenes and I are drinking scotch as opposed to beer. Welcome, Diogenes, joining us again.
Hi, everybody.
And my co-host, Russell Michaels, is with me as usual. Welcome, Russell.
Hello.
So we are going to be talking about E3, and we like we said last time, and I've said a couple times, we let all the quote unquote games journalists spurg out over everything that they have to bitch and whine about at E3 and the well, just whatever it is they have to write their stupid articles about, and so we let them do that during the week of, and now we're going to talk about the fun stuff because we're all gamers and that's what we're here for, to talk about the games that are coming out soon and the things that have been announced, and not bitch and moan about covers and clothing and whose boobs are showing and all of that crap, because we don't care. We're gamers, and that's what we're here for. So, guys, I'm gonna let you guys. Let's start with Diogenes, because I already know what Russell's excited about. He can't stop talking about it. Diogenes, what was your biggest, like? What are you most excited about that you've seen come out of E3?
Well, there's two games precisely. As Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild, which I agree with Russell, it's gonna be. It looks amazing.
Yeah.
And the other one was the South Park game, the Fractured Butthole.
Oh yeah.
It's actually called Fractured Butthole.
Yeah. It's called the Fractured Butthole.
That gosh, that has so many meanings, especially coming out of E3. Like that, there's so many levels to that title. I love it.
I know it's the usual South Park. They're very unapologetic. Yep. They're very crude. They're very gross with their comedy. So it looks very interesting.
Fractured Butthole.
Hole, exactly.
And it's a South Park game.
Yeah.
I get it now.
I love it. That's freaking awesome. That's so good.
Yeah, and if you guys haven't catched it, the trailer is basically saying that it's going to be a Civil War mock-up video game. It's going to be about superheroes, and the guys have a feud between them, so they start their own civil war, so to say.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I haven't seen much.
Wendy's superhero persona.
Nice. I haven't seen much about that one, so that's really cool. That might actually be, let's see, I'm going to look at the list. If anybody's watching right now and they're curious or they haven't done a whole lot of looking, I'm going to throw a site out there only because I had to scroll past a bunch of shitty sites to find pocket-lint.com. I just Googled E3 Games 2016, and I had to scroll past Craptaku and Polygon and IGN, and I found this Pocket Lint site, and it's a pretty cool, like, it's a pretty on the nose article, just literally gives you what's out there and what's happening. So check that site out if you're wondering about what's going on and what we're talking about. So, Fractured Butthole, that sounds freaking awesome.
It's actually called The Fractured Butthole.
The Fractured Butthole. You know, it's funny, too, because I did see that title as I was going through this list of games, and it didn't make any sense. And it's probably because, like I said, I was having a day today. And they spelled it butt, B-U-T. It's two words, folks, butthole, W-H-O-L-E. So I guess I read that way too literally, and it didn't make sense. But when you say it, I should have said it out loud, except I was at work, so I couldn't do that. But yeah, that's fantastic. And then I think we're all excited about Zelda. Zelda's probably the big one to come out of there. I mean, that might be the one. I've said it a few times before. That really might be the one that gets me to buy the next Nintendo console, because I was considering.
Always got to get it, because I always got to play the new console Zelda, so I got to get one of them.
Yeah.
Probably get the NX.
Yeah, and that's what I'm wondering. I like, if the Wii U's going away and the NX is just coming out, that means that it would just almost be silly to buy a Wii U now, But that's what I was considering until the NX was announced. But yeah, the Zelda game does look really good. But we'll talk more about that at the end because that's got some big features that we want to talk about. I did write an article or a news piece about it that'll hopefully see out soon. So I saw some of the features and whatnot that's coming out. I'm also pretty excited for, and I've always been a Battlefield guy since Battlefield 1942. I've been playing Battlefield 2, 2142, Bad Company 2. I mean, there's only a couple of games in there I skipped. I even played Battlefield 3 and 4, and I loved 4. I've been watching, over the last week, I've been watching some video from Neebs Gaming and Stone Mountain 64 and a couple of those guys that got to go to the Battlefield 1 event and play. And that game just looks, I don't know if you guys are Battlefield guys, but that game looks just awesome. It just looks really cool. Either one of you guys into that?
Personally, I've never played a Battlefield game, but I was looking at the videos, and they look pretty good. The game looks pretty good, and the gameplay looks very solid.
Yeah, and they do. I think they've learned a lot. I mean, EA and DICE have had a rocky go at it since Bad Company 2 and the Frostbite engine came out, and they took a very beloved franchise. I mean, there are still people playing Battlefield 2. There are still servers running Battlefield 2, and there's still people playing the Project Reality mod for Battlefield 2 to this day, and that game is old. And so they had a rocky go of it with a brand new engine, brand new concept, new graphics. I mean, they went from Battlefield 2 was out forever, and then they came out with Bad Company, and then Bad Company 2. And the Frostbite engine was rough. It was pretty sketchy at first, and then they went into the Frostbite 2 engine for Battlefield 3, and then Battlefield 4 got a lot better, and they really refined a lot. And I think they've learned a lot. I know they still catch a lot of flack for all the problems and bugs that we've had over the years. But Battlefield 4 right now, I mean, if you jump into Battlefield 4 right now, it's a pretty solid game. And I know it's been out for a couple of years now, and so it should have been pretty solid right away. But you know, if they can take Battlefield 4 and redo that into Battlefield 1 without breaking anything, I think we're going to have a really freaking fantastic shooter. I'm just really excited for it.
I can tell.
Yeah. That's my big one. That really is my big one. Other than Zelda, I'm going to have to buy a whole new system for Zelda. I can buy Battlefield 1 now, so I'm pretty excited about that. What else you guys see on the list that struck you good?
There was a ukulele E3 trailer. That is basically the Bones from Rare. It's basically in the style of Banjo-Kazooie.
Oh, okay.
I backed the Kickstarter, so it looks good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so far it looks good. The only complaint I have so far with Yooka-Laylee, because I'm a backer on Kickstarter as well, is that they had to delay the game 1 quarter. But other than that, everything looks fine so far.
Like every Kickstarter game ever has been delayed.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't think any Kickstarter game is released on schedule.
It's becoming the norm, unfortunately, and that's
because you never know how long it's going to take to put together a game.
True.
Exactly.
Yeah, some of these companies, that's a big thing too, is some of these companies are, I guess in a way, we are getting to see how the sausage is made, so to speak, with some of these Kickstarters, and some companies are handling it right and well, and other companies are not handling it so good. Because we're almost, when we back a game, or when we're almost the investor and the publisher in a way. We're seeing what the normal consumer doesn't see. You know, when a game goes through the publishers, like say EA, DICE makes a game for EA. If it gets delayed, you know, we don't normally see all of that mess that happens on the back end that gets things going. And with Kickstarter games, you really do. And sometimes it's an ugly mess, and sometimes the company, like we're seeing a lot of problem with Mighty Number 9, for example.
I've seen gameplay of that is not a successor to Mega Man. It is not.
No.
The bosses just don't.
No.
The big problem is the bosses.
Yeah.
They're not as fun as the bosses in Mega Man. They just take a ridiculous amount of rounds to take down.
Yeah.
They don't have themes. They don't seem to have themes or anything. It just seems painful.
Yeah. And that's...
Also, I'm very surprised. I'm very surprised neither Sega or Capcom is thought to release a retro version of Sonic or Mega Man. on the 3DS. You have any idea how much money that would make?
Oh yeah, I'm sure a lot of people
Yeah.
Maybe
are.
using the retro graphics and release
Yeah.
the 3DS, you make so much bloody money. I don't know why they don't do it.
Right. Yeah. People.
Like classic, and they could do a competition like they did with early Mega Mans, and have people send in their design ideas for Robot Masters. I mean, it could just make so much money. I don't know why they don't do it. Everyone loves the classic Mega Man and Sonic.
Right.
Why don't think, hey, let's make 2D Sonic again?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So we got a delay with that one, and that I mean, unfortunately, has become a theme with some games. Like we're looking at Watch Dog 2 is coming soon, and I didn't play Watch Dog 1. I'm not even sure why. I just know the lukewarm reviews. I mean, nobody ever came out and said, "Oh, this game is amazing. You have to play it." So it never really hit my radar anyway, because I'm so picky.
Too much hype.
Well, to me, it didn't get that much.
That movie got hyped to craziness.
The game,
Yeah.
Watch Dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember the hype on it. It did not live up to the hype at all.
And see, and I don't remember much of that, but I don't really pay too much attention to hype going into it because it usually doesn't pan out. But the game got such mediocre reviews. Like some of the game companies, and this is what struck me when I was doing some research for a piece on this, that some of the reviewer, I guess there was an event in Paris where Ubisoft had a bunch of the big guys come out to view Watch Dogs and preview Watch Dogs, and they were giving away these really expensive, I guess not really expensive, but Samsung Nexus tablets were in the gift bag in the asset kit that they were giving everybody.
Oh yeah,
right?
I remember that. Yeah.
And some of the guys, I found that some of the guys gave it back, or they gave it to charity, and they let people know. But how do we know how many reviewers actually took that back with them, and if it influenced the review? Because if you go through Metacritic's reviews for Watch Dogs, you'll see like there's a list of like, I don't know, 10 or 12 reviewers that gave it really good reviews, and they're the usual suspects, Polygon, Kotaku, IGN, like those guys gave it like really good reviews. And then you scroll down and you see some of the smaller outlets that probably weren't at that Paris event, as a matter of fact, and all of their reviews are like in the yellow, which on Metacritic is like average, like kind of okay.
Yeah. And if you look at the average score, I think it was around 8 or something.
Yeah.
But it was the average of some that were really high and some that were okay,
Right.
around 5 or 6.
Yep, and the average gamer review on Metacritic for the PC version. And then this is the weird thing when I was doing this research. Each platform has its own page on Metacritic. So PS4, Xbox had different review scores, but on PC. The gamer reviews for Watch Dogs was 4.7, which is in the red, which is bad. Gamers really did not like that game for PC, and it turns out, I mean, it had some problems. There was apparently the graphics were not as good as they were shown at the E3 announcement in 2012, and then come to find out there were some hidden graphic files that were turned off. That once you turned them back on, it made the graphics better, and it actually made the game run better for some people. Which doesn't make any sense, but
No.
so Watch Dogs 2 now it was announced, and then they showed more of it at E3, and I thought it looked really cool. Like, I think it looks like a really cool concept. The graphics are nice. It's a cool looking game, but then we've got Watch Dogs 1, and we're like,
Yeah. And the same thing happened with Watch Dogs 1. The trailer was pretty good. It looked interesting.
Right.
It was an interesting concept at the time, but then the game came out and it was like, okay, this is so.
Yeah. So I don't know. I like I would buy Watch Dogs 2 in a heartbeat if Watch Dogs 1 hadn't had such problems. I guess even if it had just been kind of a mediocre game but hadn't had so many problems, I'd probably be like, all right, maybe they learned from that. Watch Dogs 2 will be better. But I don't know, man. That really makes me worry. Like, I don't know. The game looks really cool, but I think I'm probably going to wait on that one just because of that. Let's see. What else do we get? What else do we have that strikes your guys' fancy? I know they...
Except the big one that we're waiting
Except the big one. We'll talk about the big one because there's a lot of cool features in that. We'll talk about the big one. I am disappointed that Horizon Zero Dawn is PS4 only. That game looks so cool. Like, the graphics look cool. The concept looks great. I really like the looks of that game. Like, that's one of the big things that gets me interested in the game is how good it looks. Is I'm a very visual mean, if a game looks like crap, it better be really awesome in the other areas. But unfortunately, in a trailer, you don't really get the other areas. You just get what it looks like and what it sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as I can tell, it's not going to be on PC, and that's really disappointing. I don't know. I felt the same way with Last of Us. I was so disappointed Last of Us wasn't on PC because I really wanted to play that game, and I'm just not very good. I'm gonna admit it. I'm a gamer, and I'm not very good on consoles with games of that type. I'm just really not. I'm much better on PC with those types of games.
Yeah, and to be completely honest, it's not totally worth it because the PS4 has literally 0 games on it.
Mm-hmm.
Like any worthwhile games you can get on PC.
That's
so far.
Yep, that's kind of where I'm at. There's only like a couple of titles that I could
Mm-hmm.
that I can't get on PC, and it's just not worth dropping that kind of cash on a system just for a couple games, unfortunately. So that's kind of disappointing. Maybe down the road they'll release one or something, but I'm really disappointed not to see that come out.
Yeah.
Did they talk about your Pokemon games there, Russell?
Not much. There was not that much released. I can check. I don't remember much being revealed. I think mostly because there's so little known about the games at this point. I think there might have been a little gameplay.
Right.
Let's see.
Yeah,
Let's see if they.
I think there was a little bit of gameplay in Pokemon.
Yeah.
Yeah, they showed a little bit of. Yeah, they had a little bit of a video demonstration of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 40-some minutes long.
Yeah. Well, that's
Yeah.
that's the thing that people were surprised that Nintendo released so little information because they're one of the big three. But the one announcement they did make, like we're going to talk about in a little while, was the big one. But I wish they had given us more on the NX. That's really kind of the kicker.
Yeah.
I want to see that controller. That's really the big thing for me. I've talked about it a couple times because I've carpal tunnel, and controllers that are very thin or flat. If I have to pinch them with my thumbs and fingers, like the controller that we saw supposedly leaked a few months back, looked like a little oval shaped, like almost like a cell phone. It was like really flat and looked like it had a touch screen for the controls, and I wouldn't be able to use that for more than maybe 30-40 minutes in a stretch before I'd have to stop. And that's really kind of that's one of the things that I really want to see is what's that controller going to look like. That'll kind of make it or break it for me. Also, go ahead.
No. I was gonna say if it becomes a problem, there's usually Nintendo has like peripheral accessories, and you could get like a Nerf gamepad cover.
Hopefully there's something like that. Other types of controllers, because I know that's happened before too. You'll get different styles of controllers sometimes, and third-party companies often will come out down the road a little ways with different styles of controllers. So that's always a possibility. I'd just really like to see what's going to come out of the box when this system.
Yeah.
When you buy the system. I'd also, obviously, price point. I mean, that's going to be a big kicker. It decides whether I can buy it right away or I have to wait. Because I got a lot of stuff I got to buy, and I can't always drop the kind of cash that some of these consoles are charging anymore.
Yeah.
If you are watching the stream and you have questions or you want to say anything or just yell at us, you can join the chat. It's really simple. Over there on the right side of the screen. So join that, ask us anything if you want to hear what we think about one of the games that's announced. So let us know. So yeah, anything on that Pokemon, Russell?
No, not much. As I said, they talked very little about it. They mentioned it a bit. They leaked a few new Pokemon, which look interesting. It's basically the very basic Pokemon. I think they named the two legendaries that gloss the type,
Gotcha.
the box.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Not a lot though.
No.
As I said, we know almost nothing about Sun and Moon at this point.
Right.
There's very little we know, and that's the way it is for now. We'll know more in the next few months.
Right.
They'll spend more time.
And then we had the almost. I mean, it's almost. I guess they had to talk about Call of Duty Infinity. What was it? Infinite Warfare. Sorry.
Yeah.
And but man, could they just beat that horse anymore? Like, I don't know. To me, how embarrassing would that be to have one of the most disliked videos on YouTube? Like,
Yeah.
how do you not pull that game and like redo it? Because people just really do not want it.
Isn't Call of Duty one of the best-selling series of all time?
It is, but it's also every year. From what I've watched a couple different things on it, every release sells less copies than the previous release. Like it is.
And I mean, wouldn't it be if it drops a game every year?
Oh yeah, I mean it's not hard to be the highest selling game when you release a game.
First-person shooter series, probably.
Yeah, when you release it. So and I mean flat out. I mean we're going to be honest. Since Call of Duty 4, it's been a much more not. I'm going to say this word and people are going to be, oh my god, he said casual. It's been a very casual FPS game. Not in that casual players play it, but that it's one of those types of first-person shooters that you can just jump into and run around and shoot people. And then jump out to it. At any point you can jump out, and it doesn't really, to me anyway, it never really takes that much involvement. It's almost like when I used to play Call of Duty, and my clan played Call of Duty for a while up until 4. It was one of those games where we would just get on and we would shoot the shit and almost halfway not even paying attention to the game. We'd just be on Vent talking shit and talking about games and movies and this and just clicking buttons. Whereas, we'd get onto a game like Battlefield or, Bad Company or any of those other more tactical, more involved games. And you've got to play objectives. You've got to communicate more. You're actually trying to work as a team. Whereas in Call of Duty, you're just trying to get a high score. So it's no surprise that they can do that because that appeals to so many different types of gamers. Because I'm not gonna lie, sometimes the casual shooter is what I want. Sometimes I just want to jump in and mindlessly, fire off digital weapons at digital enemies and shoot people for a couple hours. And then other times I want to actually get really involved and think about a game. But my goodness, what is the I'm gonna look it up real quick just because I'm curious. I haven't looked in a while, but the COD Infinite Warfare trailer, if it's still up, I'm not even sure. It's got to be this one that has 29 million views. How many? 2.9 million dislikes.
So it actually beat the Ghostbusters trailer.
Oh yeah.
Well, Ghostbusters is the most disliked movie trailer.
Yeah. 2.9. 10% of its views are dislikes, if my math, and I suck at math, but it has 29 million views. It has 2.9 million dislikes.
Yeah, it's 10%.
Yeah, 10%.
That is.
Can we
It's insane.
Yeah. I'm itching to talk about the other thing.
Go for it. What are you interested?
Okay,
we got Zelda.
Breath of the Wild.
Yes.
Oh my god, this game looks amazing. First of all, the title screen, the logo itself shows a very rusted Master Sword.
Yeah.
Apparently, Link has been asleep for 100 years in this. The Ganon this time around is called Calamity Ganon. There's a lot of different elements in this game.
Cool.
A lot of crafting, a lot of different weapons you can use. There's swords, axes, giant hammers.
Yep.
There's ridiculous amount of things to do in this game. Although we know very little about the game so far, what we do know is there's quite a lot of things.
Yeah.
Quite a lot of things we've learned.
One of the
things.
Looking at the press release, there are. I mean, you've got. You can take weapons from enemies. I did read that, so you can.
Kind of like Wind Waker.
Yep, you can take that, or you can find them. You can make food. Actually, you can use different ingredients to make different types of food, which gives you different effects. So there's this food crafting element that's going to happen.
Your clothing now has stats.
Yep.
Your weapons can degrade and break.
Yep.
A lot of different weapons.
And you need to wear the
axes, arrows.
Yep, and you need to wear the right clothing for your environment, so that's going to be a little more interactive with the environment that you're in. The popular trailer where everybody, or the video where people keep taking his coat off in the winter areas, just so you can watch him shiver and freeze to death. But then he
can climb on virtually anything.
Yeah, and that's a really cool feature.
And basically they said anything you can see, you can explore. And they even said you can go immediately to the final boss, even though it would be really, really difficult to do. You can technically go right to the final boss if you want to.
Yeah.
So speed runs will definitely happen.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So what else did I see? Oh gosh, I'm trying to
There's
think.
not a lot of people in the trailer, and there's voice acting.
Yeah,
They're
it's gonna
doing
have.
voice acting.
Yep, gonna
It's
have
gonna be
voice acting,
interesting.
but I'm not sure.
Hopefully, Link stays silent.
Yeah, that's what
Hopefully Link stays
I saw. A lot of people were hoping that too, because they like the idea of having characters actually talk, but they don't want Link to talk. And one of the big
Speaks in high-pitched karate grunts, and that's it.
Yep, and one of the big things is because even though we all know, and we've always known that Link's a boy, one of the great things about Link is he's not like this super masculine hero. And young people, boys and girls, could play Link, and it's almost like it was very easy for them to empathize with Link as a character because
Except in Twilight Princess.
yeah, because
He goes shirtless and sumo wrestles Goro.
right. But through most of the series, even in the first one, when I played the very first Zelda, I was 11 years old, I think, when the first one came out, and played that one, and you couldn't tell. It's Zelda 1. You couldn't tell whether Link
I
was
believe
a
I
boy
was
or a girl.
12 or 13 when I first played Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, and you couldn't tell. And you couldn't tell until later games that he. I don't even think they even said until maybe Ocarina of Time when they actually called him a boy. So it's one of those things where it's kind of nice because it's not that you need, and whether I'd care or not, I really couldn't care less if they gave you the option at the start of the game. Do you want to play Link as a boy or a girl? It really wouldn't give me two shits. But it's one of those things where
there's stealth elements.
Yeah.
There's stealth elements in this game. Hopefully,
Yeah.
significantly better implemented than the Forbidden Fortress from Wind Waker.
yeah.
Anybody who's played that game knows how annoying that was walking around in a
Yeah.
barrel. Since you didn't play much of it, Trevor, you get launched out of a barrel into the Forbidden Fortress and your sword falls off, and it's a forced stealth element where you have to essentially navigate in barrels for
Gotcha.
a good chunk of the game. That level, not my favorite level in that game by far.
Yeah, I've never been a fan of those types of levels in that type of game.
Yeah.
Because they're
But stealth elements are interesting in what they're doing because they're going to have noise indicators.
that could
and a
be
bunch of
cool.
other things.
That could be very
And you can
cool.
manipulate how much noise you make by taking potions and whatnot.
Oh, very cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And the amount of weapons. You can use axes to cut trees down to make bridges. You can push rocks down cliffs to kill enemies. And
Nice.
there's going to be a lot in this game. A lot you can do in it.
Yeah.
Each weapon has its own version of the spin attack, like its own special like charge weapon. Like
Nice. Yeah.
Swords will obviously have the spin attack. Spears will get like a rapid series of jabs, and you can shield surf.
Oh, that could be very cool.
Yeah, that's
that
gonna be
looks
fun.
cool.
It's gonna be really
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
I saw that. That looks very cool.
Oh yeah,
Definitely
and you get a
excited.
paraglider at one point, so it's kind of like a combination of the magical leaf and the like cape thing you got in Skyward Sword.
Oh, nice. And that's
Riding.
Yeah.
that's funny because I just when I streamed Guild Wars 2 on Saturday, I hadn't played the new Heart of Thorns much. I played it for a few minutes after I got the expansion, but they added a glider backpack element, which I just started to get to use on Saturday, and that's fun to be
It's
able
a
to.
collider backpack. Is it a jetpack?
No, it's a glider. Like it's
I thought you said collider.
no
So-
glider. It's a glider, and so you jump off a high object and hit your jump button, and you basically glide. And it gives you so much room to explore. So I could really see that being a lot of fun in a Zelda game too, because that's the big thing with Zelda games have always been, especially in the later ones, is exploration has always been such a huge element, where it's.
And in this one, it's all exploration. You're given no set path. You can go anywhere the hell you want.
Yeah, I like that.
Which has its own pitfalls, honestly, because it means that dungeons can't build off of the items from the previous dungeons.
Right.
Which,
Exactly.
something you have to deal with. But
Yeah.
And
it's still really
That was
cool.
something I was actually wanting to touch on because
Go ahead.
it's going to be a very interesting transition from the usual Zelda dungeons in which you go inside the dungeon. It's a separate world.
Right.
It's like it's its own thing. But if it's going to be an open world game, how are they going to transition from the type of dungeons that are their own kind of world inside the dungeon and outside is different? How are they going to change from that to
It's
an
just
open
kind
world
of
game?
It's like a Link Between Worlds and a Link to the Past. They were open world. You were
Sure.
pretty much allowed
Yeah.
Well,
any path you wanted to once you got to a certain point in the game.
But even then, in those kind of games, the inside the dungeon was completely different.
Yeah,
Like, it wasn't
they have
open
to be,
world.
and they haven't. The trailer, the gameplay trailer they didn't release, did not include like almost, from what I could tell, any dungeon.
yeah.
Any dungeons, yeah.
They didn't seem to really cover that.
What?
You apparently wake up after 100 years of sleep, which is interesting.
And they can do. I mean, we've seen it successfully done. For example, Guild Wars 2 does this very well with not only level scaling, but you can go anywhere you want in this game. It takes you a while to get there, but you could travel to an area way outside your skill level and get your ass handed to you. But the game doesn't stop you from doing that. You can, and if you run into a dungeon that is its own separate instance, so to speak, or its own separate world, if you're way below that skill level, it will still let you go in there, and it will let you die. But that's kind of how it works, and you either learn where you can and can't go until you have the right tools and levels and statistics, or you just run around the world blindly and get killed a lot. It's one of those. It will be a weird transition for a lot of Zelda players, because I mean,
I'm excited though.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, there's even going to be cube-shaped bombs, apparently.
Nice.
Yeah.
Which are intended to be placed and then explode from a safe distance.
Very cool.
Probably for puzzle solving. There's going to be a lot of good puzzle solving in this game too, from what I understand.
That's good.
The rune system they've set up seems to be highly built around puzzle solving.
Yeah.
And it's called the Sheikah Slate. That's what they're calling it.
Mm-hmm.
It looks really.
Yeah.
This game just looks awesome on every level. And as a dyed-in-the-wool Zelda fan, I can appreciate the changes they're making here.
Yeah.
Because it's definitely going to be the most. It's going to be one of the more different Zelda games that we've had in the past.
But it seems almost like like you said, it's none of it seems out of the ordinary. It almost seems like an evolution rather than a rebuild. Because a lot of companies will do that with games where they have a franchise that's very loved or has been a certain way over the years, and they're like, oh, we need to do something new. Let's just completely revamp everything. Basically, you're getting a completely different game with an older game's skin. And in this case, it doesn't seem like that. It seems like an evolution. It seems like a natural progression of the franchise to move in this direction, and I like that, because I haven't played, and I love the Zelda games, but I haven't played Zelda since Ocarina of Time, and I really
should
love that game.
You should really.
I tried.
Play Ocarina again, maybe the 3DS version if you can. Then get Majora's Mask 3DS.
Yeah.
Then play Wind Waker on whatever system you can.
See, Wind Waker, I couldn't
Twilight,
even.
Then play Skyward.
I couldn't
really
even look at
catch
Wind
up
Waker for like 10 minutes.
It's a good game.
I don't care.
It's not
it looks
my
like
shit. It's my sixth favorite game of all time. Of course, the other Zelda games are all ahead of it.
Like I said, I'm a visual guy. The game would have to literally blow my nuts off for me to look at that game long enough to play it.
Wind Waker is a really good story.
Like, good enough to blow my nuts off, because I'm telling you, I can't look at a game long enough to play through it if it's not the most amazing story I've ever played.
It's got a really good personality to it too. I mean, it's a really
so did the girl I dated in high school, but she turned out to not be that awesome.
Some of the side quests left some things to be desired, but definitely I recommend playing it on the GameCube.
No,
because the Wii U version changed something I didn't like. I'm sure you've played it before. The Hero's Charm.
Yeah.
That
sounds familiar.
Yeah, the Hero's Charm in Wind Waker. In the GameCube version, you can get it like right after the first temple if you wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in this one they moved it to the end of the maze on Outset Island, the labyrinth that you had to go down like 50 levels.
Mm-hmm.
They put at the end of that on the Wii U version, which annoyed me.
Yeah.
I don't own a Wii U, but when I found out, it's like, why move probably one of the best optional items in any Zelda game.
Yeah.
Because the Hero's Charm allows you to see when you Z-target them or when you're in a boss room how much health an enemy has left. Mm-hmm. Which is really useful.
I tried to play. My son got a Wii, and I went out and bought. It was I think it was Skyward Sword. It wasn't Twilight Princess, and I bought it for the Wii. And of course that was the Wii is not high def, but we hooked it up to our high def TV, and it looked. Not that the graphics were bad, because I'm sure it would have looked okay on like a tube TV, but on a high def flat screen, it looked so bad. I just couldn't play it. Like, it was so blurry.
Yeah, I played it on like a 17-inch screen.
Yeah, it would have to be played on like a regular CRT or a smaller screen or something that's not high. Maybe even a 720. But yeah, it was just bad. So I would love to play some of those games, maybe remastered into high def, because it's just gotten to the point where, I mean, I can appreciate some of the retro games, and I even play some of the retro games for, like I played the very first Final Fantasy again, the original version, not the remastered version. I played it on my PC through an emulator, which full disclosure, I own the original. I just don't have a Nintendo to play it on, so I wasn't stealing Final Fantasy, which I wouldn't do because I own the game.
Also, here's something interesting. Link isn't wearing his typical green tunic.
Yeah, he was
wearing blue.
Yeah, he was wearing like.
Interesting. They decided to go with that approach.
Which is kind of cool. It's a different. I'm sure there's gonna be parts of the games where he's gonna wear green.
I'm sure he's gonna get it eventually. I'm sure he's gonna get it.
It's not the first time we see him with kind of a blue tunic. If you remember the beginning of Wind Waker, he was wearing something similar.
He was wearing pajamas, yeah.
And was it? I'm trying to remember it. Didn't he have different colored? He had different colored clothes in Ocarina of Time, didn't he?
Yeah,
in Ocarina,
blue and red, right?
They were just palette swaps, but the red one kept him safe from high heat.
Right.
And the blue tunic allowed him to breathe underwater.
Yeah, they had different abilities, but yeah, I remember him having different colored. It's been a long time, folks. So I haven't had it.
I think my favorite tunic of all time, though, is the Zora tunic from Twilight Princess. That one was awesome. It had flippers and.
Yeah, and it had a face mask and all. Yeah,
that was really cool. Yeah, when you were underwater, you got the little mask came up like a scarf, like a ninja scarf, over your mouth.
Right.
So you're breathing underwater. It was cool.
Very cool.
Twilight Princess is my favorite Zelda game. So.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to go back and, like I said, hopefully I can find either some high def.
Do you have a GameCube?
I do not. I do not actually have any consoles at this point. Our last console was sold last year.
Oh. Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah,
I recommend the GameCube because the best you can get all of the. And do you have a 3DS by any chance?
I do not. Like I said, I'm PC. I've got a PC. All of my consoles are gone. The last console we have is a PS3, and I only had one game for it for myself. And I had Last of Us, and I just couldn't play it that well with the controller. I got so frustrated with it, I just didn't bother picking it back up.
A lot of people liked Last of Us.
I thought for what I played, it had a great story. It was just the controls were something I'm just not used to, and I did not.
Fungus zombies.
Yeah, I just didn't have the patience to relearn how to use a controller for a game of that style.
It also turns out that the way to beat the zombies was you just be patient, because eventually the fungus will take them over and they'll just root themselves in the ground.
Yeah, see, if
I recall correctly from the plot of that game, that's what happened.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Just leave them alone long enough, they'll just plant themselves in the ground.
Yeah, and that could be. I just know that I got to a point where I had to sneak through a room, and I was so bad with the controls that I would always wind up running out. Like, I would try to sneak along the edge of a desk to hide from this damn clicker thing, and I would invariably bump too far, and my guy would stand up, and then I would die and start over. And I just got so frustrated trying to figure that out that I gave up. And then we sold the PS3, and now, if they ever come out with a PS3 or 4 emulator and have The Last of Us on it, I'll go buy Last of Us again just to get the emulator and play it on PC.
Yeah, and now that you mention it, E3 also had a game that kind of looked like Last of Us. It's called Days Gone.
Oh yeah.
Zombie motorcycle.
Yeah, exactly. And it looks kind of the same. It looks like it's going to be a very story-oriented zombie game.
That would be nice, because there are so many survival ones, which are, they're fun. I play H1Z1, and I have 7 Days to Die, and they're both.
That was like Minecraft plus zombies.
Sort of, yeah. It's better graphics than Minecraft, but the same building concept. Yeah. It's the same building concept as Minecraft.
The Yogscast played that, and the zombies had the ability to break down your stuff.
They do.
They could just if a whole mass of them attacked your structure at once, they just get inside.
Yeah, you have to build up, reinforce your structure and build it up so that they can't get in. And you have 7 days, and if you survive the 7th day, then you get 7 more days. I played it by myself for an hour on a stream that you can find on the channel. and I really think it would be more fun with a group of people. It was a cool concept, but again, I would like something with an actual story that is more than just surviving by yourself and trying not to get eaten. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I found this game very interesting because my girlfriend really enjoys this kind of game, like very story-oriented games like Last of Us and stuff. She really enjoys that kind of game, so I'm keeping an eye on it because I might get it as a present for her.
Oh, that'd be cool. Yeah, if that's the kind of game she's into, that's the best thing. Is I know my wife's not a huge gamer, but there are certain games that she likes, and it's really cool to get her into it, get her to play one, and because she really, like, for instance, the Lego games. She's huge into the Lego games when we used to have a console, and if I get a Nintendo, that's probably one of
Lego games.
Yeah,
Nintendo franchise.
That's one of the factors that's driving me toward a Nintendo console, not just for me, but because I know that it's going to have some Lego games on it and that she enjoys those. So that's definitely a consideration. Thinking about the NX, like I said, we just don't know so little about it, and it's supposed to come out next year, if I understand right, like the end of the year, isn't it? So
likely Breath of the Wild will be a launch title for it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You have to be stupid not to.
Yeah. It's looking like it's going to be a launch title.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and it looks. Yeah, Link has a suit of armor in it. That's cool.
Yeah, I thought that was neat.
Didn't you have that in Hyrule Warriors at one point?
I thought that was
suit of armor.
Yeah, but I mean, Hyrule Warriors is a different kind of game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Definitely.
Didn't technically take place in the timeline.
What else? What else do we got coming out that looks really cool? We talked about. You know what? I think, and this is, I still don't know enough about it yet, but Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Wildlands, kind of mixed on it. It looks like it could be like a really cool game, but if I understand right, it's only a 4-person co-op game. It's not even.
So it's like Assassin's Creed Unity?
I guess so. Like, I've been trying to find more information on it, but it really looks like, which kind of stinks because as far as I could tell, it looks like a huge game. Like, the world is gigantic. It really looks like a game that could accommodate a very large scale, like, PvP kind of interaction, almost like an Arma style or Battlefield style game, but I don't think it's going to be that, which is kind of disappointing because most of the guys I play FPSs with, there's more than 4 of us, and that I just don't think that would work.
And there's a new Deus Ex game and a new Mass Effect game.
Yeah, Mass Effect Andromeda. Now, I played a little bit of the original Mass Effect series on the PS3, but again, I ran into the same issues I usually run into playing those kind of games on a console. The controls just don't work as well for me, so I might revisit those on PC if I can.
And there's a Dead Island 2.
Yes.
Which will inevitably give us a trailer that makes us sad about humanity and a game that wants to.
Yeah, that could be very cool. So that's a good one. Unfortunately.
And then the eventual Tobuscus literal trailer that is always fun and enjoyable.
Yeah.
What he's done for the last 2 Dead Island games.
Do you guys think we'll ever see, like, I don't know if you guys know much about the Modern Warfare remastered for Call of Duty.
I don't care. I've never been into Call of Duty except that time that one of my friends in college had this one of them that had the zombie minigame.
Yeah.
I remember playing that a bit, but that's pretty much the only time I've ever played.
What's really unfortunate is it looks like you can only get the Modern Warfare remastered if you pre-order Infinite Warfare, which kind of sucks. Like
I'm probably gonna have a look at it because my younger brother is a Call of Duty fan.
Yeah.
He gets every single Call of Duty that comes out.
Oh yeah.
So I might take a look at that game when it comes out, but as far as I can tell, it's not going to be much improvement on the original Modern Warfare.
Yeah, I mean, I could deal with a remastered. I guess it would have to be like really remastered, but I don't want to buy Infinite Warfare to get it. It just sucks. I just wish I'm sure eventually it might be separate, but by then I'm not sure I'll even care. But it would have kind of been cool to like. But as far as I understand, you can only play it on their servers. You won't be able to, like used to. Dedicated servers were the thing, and that's what we had. My clan owned a server, and we had people come in every night to play this game with us. It was the same people every night, and it was just a lot of fun. It was like hanging out with your friends. And they're like, no, it's going to be all matchmaking on freaking Activision servers. Like that's not even going to be fun. That's just going to suck.
Yeah.
So
in summary, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild was the highlight of E3.
Yeah.
Everything else failed in comparison.
I
By a massive margin.
I would think so. I mean, except for there were a couple of big ones. Like I said, Battlefield 1 people are really excited about that game.
Yeah.
Titanfall 2, surprisingly, people are really excited about Titanfall 2.
Why? That game was horrible.
I don't know.
Wasn't it just 4 maps?
I don't know. I'm wondering if there's enough that they've announced to make people realize that there's going to be more to this game. I guess I don't know. I even when it was down to $10 on EA's Origin, I wasn't interested. A buddy of mine had it. He just said it. He played it for a little while and then it just stopped being fun.
Yeah, because there's only 4 maps apparently.
Yeah, and
only so much you can do in 4 maps.
I don't know.
And and you cap off really quickly with your leveling apparently.
Yeah.
Which would also make you not want to care anymore.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if we talked about this, but I guess
How about they give it a story?
Yeah.
Not just make it a multiplayer game.
That would be good.
Add a story.
And I think they might be. Maybe that's what's got people interested too. Is maybe it is going to have a campaign or a single player campaign, which could be really good. I mean, there's a lot to work with in that world that they've created. If they utilize it, they could actually give you something very interesting because it is kind of unique. It is kind of a unique blend between the kind of shooters we're used to and something more along the lines of like BattleTech with the mecha and stuff. And so they have a lot to work with. Hopefully they utilize it. They could deliver a good game because I've bought a few games just for the single player. Like for instance, Doom. I'd give 2 craps about Doom's multiplayer. When I streamed the multiplayer, I was surprised that I enjoyed it, but I didn't enjoy it enough to play it in lieu of the other multiplayer shooter games I have. I bought Doom just for the single player. So
yep.
I suppose
same here.
Yeah, I suppose if Titanfall 2...
I haven't even played multiplayer, to be honest.
I played it for a half hour. It wasn't bad. The objective-based maps, the one that was just free-for-all, I didn't enjoy that at all. But the one where you have to go take flags, that was actually fun.
Have either of you played Painkiller?
No, have not.
No.
Have either of you seen Zero Punctuation's review of it? Yahtzee Crowshaw's Zero Punctuation
Nope,
review of it?
But I will write it down.
Yeah, it's definitely a game worth seeing. Each weapon has two abilities, and there is a gun that shoots both shurikens and lightning.
Okay, that
Shurikens
sounds fun.
And lightning, and electrified shurikens.
That sounds fun. That sounds.
It can take down a tank.
I like that too when it's a game that doesn't.
It's called
take
the unofficial Doom 3.
When it
that's what it's called.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll have to check that out.
It's like $10 on Steam.
Okay, I'll have to check that out. The other thing that I found interesting, and I don't think we talked about this yet, was that surprisingly enough, and I wonder if this is why they're kind of rushing the announcement of Zelda and everything else, is this is going to be the first time in a long time, as far if my memory serves me right, that Nintendo is going to release a console before the other guys. The Nintendo NX was announced. Granted, we haven't seen anything about it yet, but the NX was announced before E3, and they talked about it again at E3. Where Xbox... It's
currently going to launch in March 2017.
Yeah, so not too far out, and Xbox and PlayStation are just releasing sort of upgraded versions of their current console, which doesn't usually happen. Usually it's PlayStation and Xbox fighting for the first ones to be released.
Nintendo is always the developer to innovate in its console.
Yep, and it's always the last one.
Sony really hasn't innovated much in its consoles other than adding a Blu-ray player.
Right.
In the PS3 incarnation.
It's nice. But they just polish. Yeah.
Polish,
and that has been a good thing because comparatively I have owned damn near every console until you get to the Wii. I didn't own a Wii I owned a Wii for a short period of time, and I didn't own a Wii U. So I've owned every Nintendo. I owned a Dreamcast. I've owned every PlayStation except for the PlayStation 1, and I owned a first generation Xbox. I actually owned 5 of them. And one of the first articles I ever wrote for Frags and Beer was my experience.
Why would you own 5 of them?
Well, I'll tell you why I owned 5 of them. My son really, 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 really wanted an Xbox. And I said no, because I'd read all the reviews about Xbox. And I said, I'm not spending my money on an Xbox. No, it's not happening. No, no, no. And I said no so many times I got tired of saying no. And I finally said, you know what? You earn half the money, and I'll put in the other half and we'll get you an Xbox. So he worked his ass off to get half the money for an Xbox. And we bought him an Xbox. And that Xbox lasted about a week before it died. So we sent it back, and Xbox sent us another one, and that one was dead on arrival. Sent that one back and got another Xbox, and that one ran for 2 days, and it died. And I sent that one back and got another Xbox that was dead on arrival. And then I finally called Microsoft, and at this point I am pissed. My son, who worked his ass off to save half the money for an Xbox, could not play his Xbox for more than a week and a half in the course of about 5 months. And I was madder than hell. And the last one I asked for was new, because they kept sending us refurbished ones. And I'm like, no, listen, I bought a new one and we had it for a week. Quit sending me used ones. And they sent me a new one, and that one was DOA. So that's how I owned 5 Xbox. And finally I said, you know what, I want a refund. I want all my money back. I'm not getting another one. And they did it, and then we went out and bought a PlayStation 3. But
Yeah.
I've never had so many issues. Like I said, I've had an Atari, I've had the Nintendo and the Super Nintendo and the N64 and the GameCube. I've had a Wii, I've had the Dreamcast, and I've had a PlayStation 2 and a PlayStation 3, and I never had any one of those damn things die. But I owned 5 Xboxes, and not one of them worked for more than a few days. So PlayStation may not innovate that much, but they do make a stable system. I mean, you got to give them that.
So does Nintendo. Both consoles very, very hardy.
And that's
Microsoft consoles are known for breaking all.
Oh my god! And so that's why I'm leaning more toward Nintendo, because, like we said before, PlayStation, anything good that comes out on PlayStation, except except for a couple of games, also comes out on PC. And I own a really nice PC. I'm not going to own a PlayStation just to play the same type of games.
Yeah.
But
all games that come out on the Xbox also get.
All of them, yeah, because it's Microsoft. But
I don't know if they did it at E3, but hasn't Dead Rising 4 also supposed to come out sometime either this year or next year?
I don't know. Let me look.
I didn't see anything about that game.
It's gonna see the return of Frank West. So
could be. What were you gonna say, Dio? Go ahead.
Yeah, one thing I noticed with Xbox was that every single game that they presented at E3 had available on Xbox One and Windows 10.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because of the crossover. Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys know who Lyle McDouchebag is. He has a YouTube channel where he pokes fun at video games and movies.
Nice.
Never heard of him.
He has a video that's called The Nihilist Guide to E3.
Mm-hmm.
So he made a point about this. He said that with the recent release of consoles, you see that Nintendo is the only one that's pushing for a new console out there.
Mm-hmm.
That Xbox is pushing for basically a slimmer version of their Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
That PlayStation is getting the 4K version of the PlayStation 4.
Right.
And that we're seeing that Xbox is kind of switching for cross-platform compatibility.
Right. It's becoming a PC.
As if they were jumping ship from the console business.
And in a way, yeah, they are, because that's the one thing that actually people are really upset about, because Windows 10, that's why Windows 10 is being pushed so hard right now, is because the crossover, those games that are, I'm betting you that the only way the crossover is going to work between Xbox and Windows is if you're on Windows 10. And I don't know. Some of the guys I know that have upgraded to 10 have been fine. I did not upgrade, because I also know a lot of people that upgraded to 10 and have had trouble. I'm still on Windows 7.
I'm running on 10, and so far it's been okay.
Yeah, I had buddies who have had nothing but trouble with, like, Rainbow Six Siege is one of the games we play a lot, and I have one guy whose voice comms still don't work, and I have another guy who it took us like an hour to get his to work after he upgraded, and it just doesn't make any sense. So.
Well, I mean, so far, apart from the data collecting that they have going on, I've had no issues.
Yeah. So yeah, that's interesting. And then yeah, Nintendo announces like the first in a long time they're coming out with a new platform before anybody else, which is unusual. Hopefully it's really good. I think that's kind of what they were. I think what happened is they were planning the NX, and when Xbox and PlayStation went, oh, we're not going to come out with a new console in 2017. I think Nintendo ramped up development on the NX.
Yeah.
To be the first. I hope that doesn't bite them in the ass. But so far, Nintendo's been, like you said, they've been pretty solid with their releases. I don't think there's been a single Nintendo console. While their libraries haven't always been what people wanted, I don't think there's ever been a real issue with reliability or problems with the consoles themselves.
None that I've ever had. I mean, I've had my GameCube for 14 years now. I don't play it that much anymore, but I've had it for over 14 years. It still works.
Yeah.
I mean,
So I think we're going to be able to say, and this is completely subjective, but with the limited announcement that Nintendo made at E3, I think E3 was Nintendo's year. I really do.
yeah.
And as I told you guys when we were talking before the show, it's very interesting because Nintendo didn't have like an official presentation on E3.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a live stream from one of their it was Treehouse Gaming, so
Right.
it wasn't an official Nintendo Direct like they usually do.
Yeah, which is it's interesting, but I think Nintendo's going to come out of the gate.
Yep.
Hopefully, they're going to come out of the gate swinging with the NX, with Zelda, with Pokemon, which are their two like huge titles. I'm sure we're going to see a great Mario. I know Paper Mario. That's one of the things that they didn't even really talk about, but there's a new Paper Mario coming that people are kind of excited
3DS
about.
or Wii or console.
On NX, as far I think,
so.
but I'm not sure. But they didn't even talk about that, and a lot of people are like, why didn't? Because I guess Paper
The
Mario
internet
is.
would lose its mind if they announced Super Mario RPG 2.
Yeah, that could
The
be
internet
cool.
would lose its collective mind.
That could be cool. I would like. I mean, there's gonna be there. I don't think there's been a single
I'm
console
surprised
release
they
without
haven't made another one of those.
No,
Yeah.
but
Really,
well, I don't know if there's going to be another RPG, but there's going to be a Mario release for the NX. I mean, there is always a Mario release with every.
I think we all want Giro to come back. However he's
yeah.
pronounced. The puppet guy.
Right. Yeah.
Mm.
So yeah.
Well, some people like Mallow a lot too as well.
So we have almost hit our hour. I think we've all declared E3 a success for Nintendo, and the rest of the companies were kind of eh.
Yeah.
EA did.
Because what's going to compete with the announcement of a new Zelda game?
Yeah, like I said,
Honestly.
and really it's comparing apples to oranges. But like I said, I'm just as excited for Battlefield 1, but apples and oranges, they're two completely different games. You can't even really compare them. But I think people are equally excited for that. And I think we're going to see some great stuff coming out. I think we're going to see Nintendo whoop some ass with the NX next year. Hopefully they deliver a really good library, because that's really what's going to make or break them. The NX could be the greatest console release of the last few years. But if they don't have the library to support it, it's just going to...
They need a new Metroid game.
Agreed.
Yeah.
They need a new Metroid game.
Yeah.
It's actually good.
You know
A lot
what?
of people didn't like the other M.
No.
With the love...
I hated Other M.
With the love of retro franchises that is really, and not the franchises that have been carrying on for years, like of course everybody loves Final Fantasy. Call of Duty.
I'm surprised they haven't made a Metroid game for the 3DS.
Yeah, see, I think that's going to be...
Like in the retro style. They did a lot of that on the Game Boy.
I think that's what's going to be... That's what could help the NXs. Let's see some classic Mario type games. Let's see some classic Metroid. Let's see some of those games that made Nintendo...
Well, they wouldn't come out for the NX. They'd come out for their handheld.
Well,
in the retro style, they'd be more.
Yeah.
I don't mean retro style games, but I mean those classic titles that made
Franchise,
Nintendo what Nintendo was. Like back in the day, what made Nintendo stand out were Mario, Metroid,
Their
Zelda.
franchise. Zelda, Mario, Pokemon.
Let's see those games come out on the NX in a redesigned but not completely like rehashed versions. Let's see some really cool classic games come into the NX, and I think they could, if they come out of the gate swinging with stuff like that, I think they're going to beat the pulp out of Sony and Microsoft for a few years if they can pull that off.
They need third-party support, though.
Oh, yeah.
One thing that killed the Wii U is they didn't really have any third-party support.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, we did get Splatoon, which was really good, but it was about like the only one.
Yeah, yeah. People really like that game, but it's like these flash in the pan, one hit wonders that Nintendo's been coming out with, and they really need to hit it hard. I think with the NX, give us some really awesome stuff and really make it worth it. And then, I mean, they'll get people hooked on the NX, and then by the time PlayStation and Xbox come out with their next console, people are going to be like, I don't know, I'm really enjoying my NX. So that's what they really need to do. So cool. Yeah, we've hit an hour. Thank you guys so much for joining me. This is a great show. And join it if you like the video. We're gonna put the recording up. Hopefully, I'll have it up tonight or tomorrow. If you really like the channel, definitely subscribe. Go check these guys out. Diogenes of Sinope. That's his name on Twitter. And then Russell Michaels, you can find him, and I'm going to get this one right because I had to look it up today, at TGBED8V8. You can check out his stuff on Twitter, and he writes on a few different places as well as Frags and Beer. And then I'm me. You can find me online at Zaymot or at TJ Bierschbach. And come back, enjoy. There will be no Saturday stream. I will be on the road Saturday, but we should hope. And there probably will not be a next Tuesday stream because I will be out of town. So we will be taking a week off. But as soon as I get back to town, I will be doing some more stuff. And you guys will see more stuff from us. So thank you much. You guys have a fantastic night and a great rest of your week.
Huzzah.